Well, as you can see the title up there, you had it made, but they didn't. You didn't grow up the way they grew up. So that's why it's hard for you to relate why you steady judging and saying ain't no good in them. Well, I'm saying this for a reason because I want to hit back with some of these racial comments I received earlier in my inbox. And I hope y'all are looking at this video, and I'm not doing this video to make nobody mad. I just want to make you look at it from a different side because I want to start from a child who grows up into a man. Now, first of all, let's remember, none of us asked to be here. I know I didn't ask to be here. You didn't ask to be here. But here's a child who grows up and live in the worst community, lives in the poorest community. Now remember, the child didn't even ask to be here. If you haven't grown up in the hood, then it's kind of hard for you to relate to this. Because K-Ray, what did we see growing up? Brothers and sisters on Facebook who came from where I came from, y'all know where I'm going with this. Because when you are surrounded by guns, drugs, violence, you name it, that can mess you up as a child. And you would grow up doing what you see because you might think is right. And don't none of us change overnight. And last time I checked, Christ did come for the sinners. But here's a child that grows up. See, when you look at movies like Boys in the Hood, that ain't just a movie. That was real life for us. And when you walk into school and you see dead bodies in the alley, or when you can go on the block and see somebody's brains blowed out on the ground, or when you see somebody selling dope to their own mama, it can mess your mind up. But now remember, you didn't grow up like that. It's to the ones that like to leave these little racial comments. You grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. Now let me flip this around. I'm not talking about just black. How many of y'all knew white poor kids growing up? Poor Hispanics. And you know another reason why blacks and Hispanics get along so much? Because they know a struggle. You see more blacks versus whites than more blacks versus Hispanics. I got a lot of essay partners. You check it out, Holmes. We get along. All of that. We get along because we can relate to struggling. That's why when you see them, they struggle together. 9 times out of 10, when you put 4 or 5 or more than that black people in the house, it's not going to work. But I'm not going to dwell on that, but I want you to focus on growing up in the hood. If you grew up in the ghetto, remember, you didn't ask to be here. So everything you surrounded by is negative. I don't know how many times I could walk and see a prostitute giving some man all sex in the alley. Or walking in between houses, you'll see sex out in the open. Or if you keep walking long enough, you'll see somebody with a needle in their arm shooting up. Or you'll see a crack pipe. And you can be very curious and say, let me try that. You didn't have to deal with your mama coming home strung out, or worrying about where your next meal was going to come from. Now remember, you didn't ask to be here, child. Child didn't ask to be here. So when she sees, this little daughter sees her daddy getting murdered on the block, or her mother smoking all she can. Some mother died in front of them. Some's father died on the block. And some father just ran out a long time ago and probably started up another family, or the rest are dead or locked up. You didn't see none of this growing up. So when you pass in judgment on how somebody turned out, also remember that they can change. They might not change on your time, but they change. Now some change, some don't. That's why I stated in the other video, the black community. Let me talk about where I grew up at. It was terrible, but we still found love. I can't tell you how many nights we had to jump on that floor to dodge bullets. Me and my twin was talking the other day about how we used to jump over these bushes just to drive. Just to dodge the drive-bys. Told you my little partner was gunned down at 12, 13 years old. gunned down. A lot of killing went on. And when you see these things with your own eyes, yes, it can mess you up growing up. Some people turn out to be what their mother was. Some turn out to be what their father was. And there is nobody to really reach out to them no way. We all know what the church is doing. Most churches are concerned about how much money they're going to take up. And my thing I always wonder is, how is it we can take up so much money but won't even try to help the community? I'll leave that alone. So when you don't understand somebody, you don't know why they grew up the way they grew up. And here's the cold thing, there was something wrong with all of us. It's a lot of people right now, they think they living a perfect life. They think that they are all this and all that, and they really not. See, I can talk about growing up in the gutter. I can talk about dope. I can talk about crooked police officers. I can talk to that dope dealer that ain't nobody trying to reach out to no way. I told you one of my best homeboys was a dope dealer. Changed his life. And he said, thank you, bro, because you never gave up on me when I didn't think I could change. You saw something in me that I didn't see. And that's how I look at sinners. And I'm so glad that's the way God looks at me. He looks at you. He looks at your heart. Because think about it, you should have been dead a long time ago. Whoever I'm pointing at, you should have been dead a long time ago. Reflect back on your life. You know it. And that's why we got to give God the glory. So yes, it's hard for you to relate with a ghetto or projects if you didn't grow up in it. And after a while, I started thinking that's the way life was because everything was negative. I started looking at gunshots like somebody just ringing the doorbell. You get them late night phone calls. Say, man, old boy got shot. Next night, say, man, old girl got shot. People beating up people for no reason. Jumping on them and beating the hell out of them just because you ain't from around here. Playing with the crack in the field. How a woman will come up to you and say, let me do any and everything to you for $10. Matter of fact, if you got $5, give me $3. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I'm talking about when you was young growing up and even to this day. So when you think about all that, look at JT. Because that's what I grew up in. And this is why my heart goes out to people. When you think about all of that, I thank God that I'm still alive. Most people I grew up with didn't even make 25 years old. Some didn't even make 20. Some didn't even make 15. So it's a blessing when you see this man right here sitting in his chair, giving God all the glory, all the honor, and going after the lost. And let me say this again to you stuck-up religious folks. This page ain't for you. I don't go after Christians. I go after the lost. Because most people who are claiming to be Christians have already made it into heaven. So my question is, if y'all are already all right and done made it in and you are saved, why in the hell am I spending time on you? I need to go after the ones who don't know Christ. I know that just made a lot of y'all mad. This is why I don't fool with Christians. I fool with true believers. And I go after the lost. That's what Jesus did. So when you see me on camera giving God the glory, the honor, and the praise, now you know a little bit more why I do what I do. When I fought with the system, let me tell you something, man. I used to have nightmares of what I saw in this hood growing up. Sometimes I had to toss and turn at night because I had dreams of me getting murdered next. A lot of my homeboys gone, man. I used to tell my twin brother, bro, we ain't gonna make it. That night, we jumped over them bushes that last time, K-Ray, we was coming from your house, I believe. I thought I was shot that night. I thought I was dead. Because you got a fool driving around, busting everywhere. Bullets be flying all kind of directions. And a lot of innocent people done got killed behind somebody having fun with a gun and playing around with it. So when I'm giving God the glory, trust me, I'm giving him all the glory. That's why I say a lot of people don't agree with my page, and that's fine. This page is not for everybody. It's not really for Christians. That's why I'm just like Jesus. Y'all know who Jesus had the biggest problem with? Pharisees, the religious folks, the church folks. You know who JT got the most problem with? The Pharisees, the religious, the church folks, who only concerned about the law. You more concerned about the law than the laws. That's why I said in the other video, love wasn't even mentioned in the 10 Commandments. You know why? Because you can't command nobody to love you. Think about it. Can you make somebody love you? That's why it was about obedience. But when he came back with the 2 greatest, which hardly can't nobody do, is love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. That's the first greatest commandment. And the second one is just like it, loving your neighbor as thyself. Most people can't love their neighbor. I'm going to say it again. Most people can't even love themselves right about now. That was the greatest commandments. Because if you love, then you won't hurt. He said on that, hang up the law and the prophets. Jesus fulfilled every bit of the law. Me and you didn't. We failed long time ago. You better thank God for grace and mercy. Grace, God's riches at Christ's expense. It's all over that Bible. Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth. Are we following these instructions? Or are we too busy hating each other, jealous of one another? So it's hard for you to relate to somebody who grew up. Yes, we saw gang violence. Yes, it was all over. The shootouts, the cries, the mothers giving up their own children, the daddies who left years ago, the community that turned their back on the community, the churches who wasn't helping the community. It's still going on. It's just a new year with the same problems. So with that being said, I'm not going to make this video no longer. Y'all take care and remain blessed. Peace.